Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Knowing Show. And today we are having a conversation with the one and only James Valentine. James, how are you, my friend?
I am doing amazing. I am happy to see you again and to be a part of what you are creating and building. So, doing amazing.
James, I'm so happy to have you. We met, man. We were just chatting before we came online. We
Right.
met a year ago, plus some change in
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah,
I
yeah,
found you on LinkedIn and was
yeah.
so impressed. You're a best time selling author. You're an ascension coach. You're the founder of Awakening to Love. And I reached out to you cold and blind on LinkedIn and invited you on the Knowing podcast. And that episode was so incredibly potent. James, while we were having that conversation, I really cognitively grasped a lot of what you were saying. Some of it I had been through and really emotionally connected.
Sure.
And towards the end of the year, when your episode actually came out, I heard it under a completely different lens and guise because I had gone through some experiences that really positioned me to receive what you had to say. We talked in our podcast episode around the dark night of the soul
Yeah, yeah.
and really what that experience was for you that truly transformed you. And that experience for me is something that really transformed me as well. But before we dive in, I just want to say thank you for being here once again. You're in a life transition moving out of Vegas.
Out of Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me who you are for those of you who don't know, besides being a best selling author, besides being the founder of Awakening to Love and transforming the lives of so many leaders. Who are you?
Well, it's been a constant evolution even from when we last spoke, right? And who I am is always identify myself as soul.
Mm,
I know that this physical appearance appears to be a person called James, but I recognize this as just the mask, the costume, the character avatar for the divine being that I am. And I really, that's my default. Like obviously I
mm,
move through life, I gotta pay bills in relationships, whatever, but my default is always to return back to who I am
mm.
as soul, as recognizing the truth of who we are. But since we last spoke, again, just continual downloads and revelations. But recently, no, at the top of this year, I started. It's kind of weird. Some people may pick this up, some people may not. But I started noticing just airplanes flying around. Like I'm in Vegas, and so Vegas isn't the biggest spot, but you're gonna notice airplanes.
Right.
For some reason, they started standing out to me, and I was like, okay, that's odd. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who told me about, well, actually, a friend and a former client, and she had moved from Texas to Charlotte, somewhere around Charlotte, or whatever. And she said, James, I really didn't want to move, but I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. And that she had talked about her resistance and her wanting to stay in Texas, or even knowing that it was time to move, was Texas was the place of her growth. But
Hmm.
she had finished her growing season, she was being moved to somewhere else. And that struck me just,
Wow.
yeah, and I really pondered. I was like, wait, when I went through that dark night of the soul, this is where I was planted. And clearly, I had some more growing and evolving to do. But what I'm recognizing is that time is over. And
Hmm.
so, where's my next? Because she didn't just come as to sharing her story; she came as a messenger. I understood, and so it's like, okay, where's my next space? Where's my next place? And so it's so funny, Christine, because I started noticing on first thing was a comedy special on Netflix. This woman spoke about the Art Institute in Chicago. It's like, oh, that sounds like a place I would want to go visit. Not thinking Chicago's the place now. Just like, oh, I haven't been to an art museum in a while. And then I started shows and I'm not a big TV watcher, so there was one particular show about parallel realities called Dark Matter, and it's based in Chicago. Okay. I'm now seeing movies where it's in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street, someone has a Chicago shirt on. It's like, what is going on? Like, oh, I get it. Chicago.
Yes.
And I didn't want to come. I'd be out of Christian. I
Mm.
did not want to come because I heard how cold it can be in Chicago.
I've heard the
I am a right. That's two extremes from Vegas to Chicago.
same.
But once I did my research and really found out a lot more about Chicago, and actually even met my partner who I'm in a relationship now online. And where is she from? Chicago.
Get out, James.
So all this, yeah, all the stars and signs aligned, and yeah. So now I'm here
Wow.
to.
Can you tell me your how did you first start kind of almost attuning to being able to notice what what is being offered as signs, as kind of revelation? So when you, and actually before you answer that question, I just want to back up there for a moment for context, right? You opened this out and said, I said, who are you? And you said, I'm soul. And
Mhm.
I'm curious to just have a brief conversation about this topic before we proceed to kind of how do we position ourselves to start being aware and look for and be open to receive, whether there's signs or just something that maybe is being told to us, whether in a personal setting or a professional setting, like everywhere around us, there's opportunity for growth if we watch and look and listen, and really to be led both from within and also visual signs without. A friend
Sure.
of mine, he kept seeing dead birds, and he was like, "This is weird." And we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to return to your initial statement around your introduction, where you said, "I'm a soul," and I'm curious, James, like where does spirit come in to when we think about the architecture of the human being, right?
Mhm.
When we
Mhm.
think about what constitutes you and me, there's so many different parts and there's
Mhm.
so many different aspects of who we are. But when it comes to soul and spirit and even our physical self, like
Yeah.
how does it all work together in your experience?
For me, it's again that Dark Knight cracked something open, right? Like it gave me a greater revelation that yeah, though this is an appearance, it's not the truth,
Mm.
and so for me, it was just focusing on the truth. Even now in this moment, I am watching myself, or I'm aware that I'm watching myself having this conversation with you. The me that's watching is the true self, and this character James is something that is constructed. The personality, the how I the clothes I wear, like I as soul constructed that to help me navigate through this reality. But the thing that allows me to be in tune and heightens my intuitiveness is just spending time being aware that I'm aware.
Mm.
Being in that I amness, as some people may say it, just and now it's like where some people may meditate to get to that place. For me, it's with eyes open, moving through life. I am constantly in that space of just
Mm.
awareness. Yeah.
And is it fair to say, just for those of us, including me, I mean, I haven't done a ton of, I've really sought in my journey of growth, I've really sought to be, the Latin root of intuition is intuaries, and it
Mhm,
means to be
mhm.
taught from within. So I actually have staved off reading a ton of external books so that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can be taught
yeah,
from within. And now I'm kind of moving into the space of like, okay, what do other people have to give me? I'm reading David Hawkins' Letting Go right now, and I love it.
yeah.
I heard yesterday that I'm still early on in the book where like it's going to be a deep dive pretty soon. But with what you just said, is it fair for those of us who kind of more so liken to Laban's terms, right, for
Mhm.
understanding? Is it almost like that out of body experience where I feel like I'm a third party watching? Is that okay?
Very much so, very much so, and it is, and that's the truth of who we are. And I think we get because this is what we do know. We do know that at the end of this life, this body doesn't go with us,
Mm,
but we spend the majority of our life identifying as something that is not, instead of kind of maybe whether you're balancing it or whether you're just giving more time to wait, who am I without the body? The
mm,
body can't be who I am if that if I have to lay that down, but I'm still
yeah.
alive. So it's yeah, it's that it's
Mm,
being focusing more on that. Even just if you just want to balance yourself out. Okay, I'm having this human experience. but I'm something more than this. And that something
Mhm.
more is something greater than this. Yeah.
And with that, I'm something more in than this moment now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Man, there's so many different directions to go, and there's so many different conversations that we could have because I'm really, yeah, have you read The Power of Now?
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
that is one book that I have read,
Yeah.
and so much of it is about being in the present.
Yeah.
And the present is very almost like visceral. Like it's
Sure.
very tactile with like here I've got my laptop in front of me. I'm in this conversation with you. And it
Right.
almost feels like the leveling up of
Mhm.
our ability to be so present, so here and now, not fearing the future, not regretting the past, being here in
Right.
this moment, yet also almost like transcending the moment and
Mhm.
being able to be so engaged with you and also be able almost like watching us and like,
Yeah.
oh, why did I say that? Oh, why did I, like
Yeah.
how do you kind of guide people? Because I know that you're a coach. For those of you who are
Yeah.
just joining, James is a best-selling author, founder of Awakening to Love. How do you guide people in the duality? Like that seems very opposing in some ways, how to
Sure.
be solely present here in this moment, yet also exist as a third party, our true self, really almost like monitoring and being sure that our true self is the one in the driver's seat, not
Yeah.
a part of us that's angry or whatever.
Right. I first want to, because this came up when you were saying that. Um, in I think it was 2022, so it's not even that long ago. Three physicists were awarded the Nobel Prize for tangibly proving that this moment, this very moment, is the only moment that exists. That what you are absolutely,
I
I
want to go find that. How
yeah,
did they prove that? That is so cool.
yeah, I posted about it and everything, and it's so funny because Einstein, who most people know, he once said, "I like to think that if I'm not aware of the moon, that it exists, right? But it doesn't. Nothing like Christine. This moment is the only moment that exists. Period. What
Wow.
we are what we are not conscious of does not exist until we become conscious of it, right? And so you know, like I'm calling to mind my daughter and my partner, whatever. But before I called them to mind, they did not exist until I became conscious of them. Like everything, because now we're going to kind of going into everything is energy, right? Like everything is, even this body is an energetic expression of who we are as soul. And I don't want to get people, too far off the question you asked me. But yeah, they got awarded the prize that proving the moon doesn't exist, the sun doesn't exist, our partners, our families, nothing outside of this moment exists. And scientists have been coming very close to proving that for some time. But these three physicists were able to nail it down. I don't remember. I did post about it, but I don't remember the exact kind of process, whatever that they use. But yeah, this is it. This is it. This moment.
I so obviously that opens a whole a whole line of questioning where
Sure.
I'm like, I feel kind
Sure.
of mind blown. Um,
Yeah.
However, if we were to tell me if I'm off here, right? Like for me, in
Hmm.
my own reality, this
Hmm.
moment is only now. Like I've got a whole event taking place. Am I frozen? I think I was
No,
frozen
you're
for a
good.
second.
You're good.
I've got a whole event taking place in Austin, Texas that I really actually wish I was going to. It's the mastermind I'm a part of. I love everybody. But for me, that doesn't exist. This
No,
exists.
this exists.
For,
Period.
for, for them, that
Yeah.
exists. But for me, this
Ex-
exists.
Oh, you okay? So now you're getting into my wheelhouse because I didn't expect to talk about this, but I always say to my clients, to everyone is experiencing their own version of Earth.
Yes.
Like in my reality, I'm having a conversation with Christine, and it exists of the people and everything and all these things are responding to me. In your reality, obviously having this conversation, and what seems to color your life is related to your version of Earth, what you're experiencing. At the
Mm,
same time, just circling back to what we just said, This moment, though, is all that exists. Absolutely.
Okay, so man, this is just I'm really grateful for this conversation for a number of reasons. But how does this translate to empathy? Sitting into someone else's experience and their own version of Earth.
Okay, so I love that because I love that question because I even told you earlier one of my favorite shows is a parallel reality show,
Hmm.
but it's really recognizing that everyone, and this is I'm not sure if people who watch this are familiar with Never Goddard, but from
Yeah.
my own unique perspective, everyone is ourselves pushed out, as Neville talks about. So, Christine, you are just an aspect of myself, right? And so when we talk about empathy, we talk about compassion, and it's what Jesus said: love your neighbor as you love yourself,
Hmm.
because your neighbor essentially is yourself.
Right.
It's a expression of who you are. Like, here's the thing, I'm going back to energy for a moment. We can never experience anything that we are not a vibrational match to, right? Like, no one can show up in your reality. You have no experience, good or what we may label as bad, unless you are a vibrational match for it. It doesn't. So anyone that shows up in my reality, that's they are a vibrational match to me, i.e., an expression of me. And
Mm,
so empathy in that sense is I want to feel for them, or I feel for them what I would want felt for myself.
mm,
So, if I see
yes.
someone, yeah, yeah,
And just to add to that, it reflects. That's why they're a reflection for us.
yeah,
Because if we're treating them a certain way, we likely treat ourselves that way. At our
absolutely.
core. And that's where radical responsibility is always to look inward rather than pointing the finger, because there's always four pointing back.
Absolutely. What is this person, place, or thing reflecting to me about me?
Mm,
So even when we feel someone has wronged us, even when we feel someone has, or we've been disadvantaged in some way, no, that's just a mirror. It's a mirror of what's going on in you, in
mm,
your consciousness. Do you feel like you're not enough? Do you
mm.
feel like you're not worthy? Do you feel a sense of lack? Because even when it comes to relationships or wealth or whatever, it's all just a mirror of how you feel about you. So even the very belief, and here's a deeper thing that I really hope people get. When you understand you are soul, or you focus on that aspect or the truth of who you know you are abundance. You know you are love. You know you can't be anything other than that. So for lack or the appearance to lack to show up, that's only a belief. You are so powerful that you can make this a lack experience, even though it's not the truth. Like, that's
You know,
how powerful you are.
it's so funny you say that. Just this morning, man, just this morning, I forget what the genesis was of
Mhm.
the thought that I was having while I think I
Yeah,
was taking a shower. I
yeah,
just realized in that moment it can either this the very same thing can be powered by abundance or it can be powered by lack. Like take
absolutely.
any example, like okay, I've got this much of my drink left. Oh man,
Mhm.
I only have this much of my drink left. And I'm like, man, I'm so full.
Yeah,
What a beauty.
yeah,
I love this drink. It's so good for me. I'm so
yeah,
excited to finish that. You know, it's the
yeah.
exact same experience.
Yes,
And that's why we have to be so aware of the who we are and who's in the
yes,
driver's seat.
yes.
You said love, abundance, those parts are our true self.
True self, yeah.
That's what's really really beautiful, because then when we have the anger arise, it's like, oh, what does
Mhm.
anger have to tell me? And you pull out anger and you look at it and examine
Right,
it, you're like, oh man, you get curious
right,
rather than letting anger be in the driver's seat or judgment be in the driver's seat, judging
right,
it.
right,
No,
right,
because that's where it gets really really dangerous. But we have to know who we are and
right.
know that at our core, who were we made to be, and in
Absolutely,
whose image were we made to be,
absolutely.
and then that changes everything. And then what that allows for is that connection point between me and the gentleman with the sign standing at the edge of the road asking for
Right.
money. And I'm like, oh man, like we're I
Right.
really like love him because I'm
Right.
coming from this place of love and I understand that the core essence of who he is made exactly like the core essence of me. And we've had different
Absolutely.
experiences and take different shape. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the scripture that Jesus brings up or talks about when he says, "When I was in jail, you didn't visit me. When I was,
Mm,
all those things he would talk about." And he said, when did that happen? It was like when you didn't do it to them, you didn't do it for me, because that's
wow, James
everyone. Yeah, everyone is you. Everyone is just an
Hill.
expression of you. And really, when you talk about how these emotions can come up that we label as negative and so forth, that's just a story that the ego is telling. That's not who you, and that's where we get lost. We think we're the story. We think we're what our ego is telling us, and we are, and we give the meaning to our life that the ego tells us. That's why it's so important to reconnect with soul. Like that was my whole thing when we met the first time. That's what the Dark Night of Soul cracked open for me, because I started studying NDEs. I started studying just what does it look like to really be in soul. And soul is neutral. There's no judgment there. So if I'm angry, who's angry?
Yes.
Is the character angry, or is, because soul can't get angry?
Mm,
Soul is only love. So that's the first evidence that, wait, I've left myself, kind of like the prodigal son.
I
I've
love
left
myself.
home. Yeah,
Wow.
I need to get back home.
Chills again.
Home is soul. Yeah.
I love this. I feel like this is the perfect teeing up for my book. And my book is so not so many of the things you're saying are just so incredibly profound and I feel like the my book is almost for like the very very beginner because that
No,
was
it's
my
all
I just
good.
wrote about my experience so you don't need to read it. But it's what's so interesting is being able to really you said coming home.
Yes,
That's
yes.
exactly what it is. And there's something about remembering who we are. Have you ever
Mhm.
read the book Homecoming by John Bradshaw?
No, I haven't read that one. I haven't read
Okay,
that
so
one.
he opens the very book with this concept of like all these like little souls almost like in heaven, like
Yeah,
looking at the earth.
yeah,
And they pick the body that they'll go join and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
go
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're born. And so much of that first, he talks about kind of the moments in developmental stages that can really stunt the soul from effectively remembering. Like at some
Mhm.
point in life, we remember
Yeah,
who we were before you know what I mean? Like not necessarily that we'll be like, oh, I remember heaven or wherever I
yeah,
came from,
yeah.
and and it's a story and I think it's actually a really beautiful depiction of what it is that's inside us, this really pure entity. And we see
Yes.
it in children.
Yes.
We're like, oh
Yes.
man, like you just haven't been jaded yet. and
Right.
and does the soul ever get jaded, or is it that the ego just comes in more and more and corrodes it? Like is the purity of the soul always there since we were babies and the world just jades everything around it and it's more so peeling back? I think of Michelangelo when he's like, no, I just chipped away everything David was not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in one sense, our job today is just to chip away until we uncover the soul again.
Absolutely, and that's what they call awakening. We
Mm,
are now awakening to the truth of who we've always been, and it's as you
mm,
said, Christine. It's removing the layers. It's unlearning the things that we were learned by others who may have been unconscious, may have had good intentions, but themselves
yes.
were unconscious. So it is that. That's why sometimes you got to go through that dark night of soul, fortunately or unfortunately, to
Yeah.
go, wait, I'm not who I think I am. This isn't what I think it is. Now I see the truth. Now
Yeah.
I see the truth. And it's holding on to that, because it's easy to lose that. I think at times we begin to feel our more powerful self, or we may see things shift in our reality, and we can lose ourselves in the dream. I remember, apart from the Matrix, and there was one, I guess he was the antagonist. He wanted to plug back into the Matrix because this just became too much for him, knowing the truth. And at times, I feel like we get that way because yeah, there's a constant evolution, and that constant evolution is going to bring what we call more challenges.
Yes.
And so sometimes we like, man, I wish I didn't know this. And I've been there. I guess I'm speaking my own stuff. It's like, man, I wish I didn't know what I know. I could just plug back in and be ignorant and whatever. No, I would trade
That's
this for the
so
world.
fair. Oh dear. Isn't that the truth,
Yeah,
man? They
yeah.
say ignorance is bliss, and I think that
Hey,
there is an element to that.
right,
But and
exactly.
there's more responsibility now. Now
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah,
it's I look back on various decisions I made throughout my life and how I showed up in different relationships. And man, I just need to extend all the gentleness because I really did do the best I knew.
yeah,
Looking back now, I would not do that.
right.
And I really did the best I could.
But that's important too, right? Like that, those like one of the things I do at times is I thank those different versions of James
Mm,
because they made me possible.
mm.
Like they are
Yes.
perfect. Yeah, like they are perfect as they are. Like they did their job in order to make me possible. So my gratitude extends to them as well.
James, what you just said, I was actually sharing this with my mom because I gave her my draft of the book and I just asked her to read through it. And I told her as we were discussing, I was like, ma'am, I would not change a single thing.
Nope.
I really, frankly, I love who I am. I love
Yeah,
my mission.
yeah.
I
You
love
light up everything. Yeah,
where I am. Thank you. I mean, man, I love, love, love
yeah,
what a transformation, what a journey, and what pain,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. And
yeah, yeah,
there's almost like a sacred holding for those people that we were during that
yeah.
time, you know.
Exactly. And there are parts of us at times that, well, for some people, that in error judge those versions of
Mm,
themselves. Those versions played a very key part, a very important part. But to go, yeah, to feel bad or to judge, and yeah, when I did that, I didn't like myself. Or no, that version of you did the job that they were supposed to do. Like I said, to get you here.
mm,
Like I'm a brand new James, even from when you last met me.
yes,
Even that's a different version than the version that's speaking to you now. Going back to this is the only moment there is, of course.
yes.
So this James is is the result of those James that came before me.
Mm. To your point about judgment,
Yeah,
one of the things that has consistently been most freeing for me and transformational to how I view my previous selves.
yeah, yeah,
It really has been to lean into the moment when I see a picture and I feel something. I'm like, okay, let me stop everything.
yeah.
And my process is slow down, lean in, and ask why. Like,
Right,
okay, slow down to stop everything I'm doing, lean
right.
into the feeling that I have and ask why, and then trace the root all the way to the origin, whether it was a memory, an unprocessed experience, an unprocessed
Mhm.
emotion, and to just really just look at this picture of
Yeah, yeah.
me and then move through it's called, who was it, oh gosh, I forget the author's name, but she likened it to an emotional tunnel. You have to
Mm.
move all the way through the emotional tunnel in order to then process it. Because if
Yeah,
you stop at the entrance, if you stop midway through and back out, that emotion stays in your body.
absolutely,
The
absolutely.
book A Body Keeps the Score by
Yeah,
Bessel. I can't remember his last name. Um,
I know you're talking about though.
yes, The Body Keeps the Score. It talks all about trapped emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
This is something that's really important, is that our body and brain
Mhm.
recalls social and kind of emotional rejection in a similar pathway as it does physical pain. So
Yeah,
our body and our brain are recalling emotional little traumas the same it does as physical little or big traumas. And so
right.
we have to honor the emotional processing just like we would honor if my arm's hanging out loose and limp, I got to go fix it and get it straightened out. And if I got a broken arm, so we need to tend to these emotions that come up in us in a similar way with similar vigor and
Yeah.
fervor as we do a gushing wound.
Sure.
And we just haven't honored our emotions to this extent that I think it really, times are changing, and we're
Yes. Yeah.
elevating as a society, to be able to honor this whole new, and I think of it as an intelligence. Like, emotional intelligence is something that is so worthy of our pursuit. We spent our entire childhood lives nurturing and fostering our intellectual intelligence, the IQ, but there's this whole other aspect of emotional intelligence, which is, to your point, soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're living
Yeah.
disconnected from ourselves without doing so. And I just, man, I'll, as my friend Chris Gray says, land this plane. Um, there was this moment. It was Christmas Day in 2023 when I just all of a sudden felt just overwhelmed with compassion for my 20-year-old self. That 20-year-old girl who got married, the same one that I had judged all of those 10 years.
Yeah.
And man, I just wept for her. And I wrote it out. As I was crying, I was just like, you cared so much. You were so innocent, naive, like ignorant, and
Yeah.
just had no idea how much pain was ahead of you. And you really did your best and you tried so hard. And I just really wept for her because for so many years I damned the girl with the veil.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's an important part of the healing. And
Mm,
again, we referenced my dark night, and others I'm sure
yes.
who are watching this have had their own dark nights. It is definitely with sitting in that emotion, allow it to. And we talked about this. We touched on this some when we last spoke about
Yeah.
letting that just, because it's energy and it needs to move, letting it move through you
Mm,
instead of being so immersed and fixated on it, or trying to avoid it, because
mm,
like you said, it just gets stuck there. But if
yeah.
I just sit with it, it hurts some in pain, and
Yeah.
I don't like just letting it happen and move through you. Like there's a moment where just life just cracks open for you. Just
Yeah.
you really just emerge this whole person,
Mm,
and
wow.
begin to move through life from that space. Yeah. Yeah.
And how freeing. That's freedom when you can just let it be. There's different concepts of like let it go, but then also
Mhm.
just let it be. Like,
Yeah.
let it be, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
emotion, the pain, the processing, just let it be.
Let it be. Let it be. Let it move through you. Like it's energy and emotion is energy and motion. But if we are stagnating it, if we're blocking it, restricting it, it can't move. It's not even emotion at that point. It's just stuck energy.
Mm,
So yeah, it's vitally important, as as you alluded to just be with it. That it's coming to pass. Let it pass. Let
yes.
it go.
Yeah. 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 And isn't that interesting? We can't let it go without first letting it be.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that there can be almost like we're so attached to letting it go and
Hmm.
trying to get rid of it that the letting process, it doesn't, we actually supersede the letting process because we're actually so gripping tightly to it being gone in the first
Right.
place. So we don't just let it be what it is,
Abs-
and then it will go out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a place in ascension, in the ascension journey, where when you are really truly connected with soul, that the emotions, there's that space between who you are and the emotion, and you don't even there's a loving detachment. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like, always give people the scripture, where it says, um, not take no thought, but take every thought captive. It's
Yes.
almost like there's the you, and then there's the thought that is taken captive. It's not the
Yes.
same thing. It's
Oh,
two
James.
different. Yeah. So be
That's
aware of your thoughts, be aware of your emotions, and
I'd I'd actually love to maybe have you come back on and we talk just about the mind here.
sure.
What I'd like to do is deviate course a little bit because I said that we would talk about masculine and feminine, and
Yeah.
like we are talking about our parts and
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
How does the soul
Hmm.
relate with these masculine and feminine, these parts? And I know that so many people call it the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The
Hmm.
way that I like to, again, with layman's terms, with
Hmm.
keeping in mind people like me who haven't
Yeah.
done all these readings and moved into this place of being able to use a terminology that's just sounds kind of foreign, and immediately it's like I don't even know what you're saying. So the thought of, okay, the elements of us that are almost like the warrior and the lover. I think about the Spartan
Mhm.
culture and the Athenian culture, and like how would we bring those together in harmony with in and of ourselves, where we've got, the right brain and left brain activated,
Yeah.
which typically kind of does represent the masculine and the feminine in one sense.
It still kind of for me goes back to being focused on the inner being, because your inner being is masculine and feminine, right? More times than not, we're leaning toward one more than the other,
Yeah.
or we may attract someone, friend, romantic partner that has the ability to balance us out,
Mhm.
because they may be like my partner. She is, very much in her feminine, and I'm very much in my masculine. She balances me. We just had this conversation a couple of days ago, how she softens me,
Yeah.
and she caused me to see life differently. But at the same time, as the more masculine version, I'm structure, I'm discipline, I'm like, hey, this is how we need to do this. But at the same time, my feminine in me also says, if you're in agreement with it, like, right, like this is how we're going to move if it's okay with you.
Mm,
So it's what we should be striving for and it's kind of part of that emotional intelligence piece as well,
yeah.
because that when I think about the feminine, I think the feminine is wild and free and that, but at times we got to couple that with discipline. So if my mind is just like, oh, I want to do this, or oh, I want to do that, and I know it may not be the best thing for me, that now masculine part of me has to check that. Has to
Mm,
go, no, it's not, either it's not time for that or that's not what we need to be doing. Just
mm,
think in terms of like people who do get angry or who do are led by their emotions. They're
right.
so much into their feminine that their masculine just gets clouded, gets obscured. But that balance is what we should be striving for. We go, yeah, I feel this, but no, I'm not going to move in that direction because that's not healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting? Having both activated in tandem with each other really
Mhm.
allows for us to have emotional intelligence, just being intelligent about our emotions. It's just another data source. That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
we do or act in accordance with what the emotion is.
Exactly, which is emotional intelligence, which
Yeah.
is I feel this, but that doesn't mean I need to act on it,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so that's when you have that, because emotional intelligence is essentially that it's the balance between the feminine and the masculine. I feel this, but is it the best thing for me? Should I move in this direction? Should I not move in this direction? And being able to have that is, I think it's essential. I didn't. It's funny, Christine, because I didn't even recognize that in myself. Um, you know, before maybe this year or this past year or whatever, that all of the times when I've just gone and done what I wanted to do and just was like, it wasn't the best thing for me, but I was led by my emotions. That's because I wasn't recognizing and giving place to the masculine in me.
Mm,
I was very much more in my divine feminine than I was in my divine masculine,
mm,
because I was just going with what I felt. But
mm,
now, like I said, now that, like I said, that dark night of soul cracked open a lot. Now I'm more disciplined. Now I'm more structured, um, and it's made all the difference in who shows up, what shows up, the life that has shown up.
mm,
Because I think even to have a healthy relationship, there has to be that balance. Like you can't, for the man, or someone who's in their you can't be so much in your masculine that you become controlling, that you
mm.
become this aggressor, right? Like even healthy relationship for the masculine has to also be one who is tapped into his feminine.
Yes.
Where that's that cuddle time, that's that nurturing, that's that I love you. Yeah. Yeah.
I just had this thought. I actually, so to what is the masculine operating like? It's more structured,
Discipline.
yet disciplined,
Hmm.
orderly, whereas the feminine is very nurturing,
Yeah.
tender,
yeah,
caring.
right.
Think of honestly, it's like the feminine tends to have more of the EQ, and the masculine tends to have more of the IQ. Let's just say
Sure.
that.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
So then, what I ended up doing when I was so disconnected from the EQ, I
Mhm.
actually just really operated in my masculine, and
Yeah.
I over emphasized on that led to a controlling tendency for
Mhm.
everything around me.
Mhm.
And so, y'all, it's really important as we're kind of analyzing, okay, how does this manifest in my life? If we can look at the manifestations of like, oh, that looks unhealthy. Am
Mhm.
I actually operating too much in my
Yeah.
masculine or
Yeah.
feminine?
Yeah.
If I'm having emotional outbursts all the time,
Mhm.
is there maybe an area to cultivate the masculine? So I
Yeah.
think that's really important. That's a good self audit of,
It really
am I
is.
being too controlling? Okay, I actually may need some more
Yeah.
tenderness. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
having these emotional outbursts, maybe I actually need a little bit more discipline. What
Yeah.
maybe let's look at the habits of my morning that structure my day. What does that look like? So I love this conversation, James. Thank you.
Absolutely. Like I spent 3 years. Like my journey extended 3 years before I even entered into a relationship. Right.
Mm,
So I had that time, and that was time of celibacy as well, right? So even those energies from past relationships were being purged as well. So I was really able to recenter myself and reground myself in just this uncompromised energy
mm,
of being whole in that sense of what people may think of wholeness. So even now entering into this relationship, like it just clicks now, right? Like she gets to be silly, she gets to be emotional. She's very much in control, but she and I all I do is hold space. As
yeah,
the masculine, I just hold space for that. She gets to show up however she wants to show up, but she has this structure here where she knows she's not judged, where she knows she can be herself. And I think that's what I'm seeing as kind of the difference between the masculine and the feminine. For me, the feminine is just free. The feminine is just free to be itself. And again, it's not a gender thing because I've known men who are very much in their divine feminine.
yeah,
They may have a partner who's in her divine masculine,
yeah.
or it could be a same sex situation, but one party is embodying either divine feminine or divine masculine, and the other's embodying the other.
Right. And I do honestly, I think it's a goal for all of us to have access to both. You
It's
know,
important. Yeah.
that's so important, because I ebb and flow. I recently started
Mhm.
seeing someone, and like we ebb and flow in and
Yeah.
out of the both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that the most powerful encounters that we have is when we're actually both proceeding with both at the same time.
Yes.
That's when it's like, this is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so incredible. And it is potent.
It
We
is.
go in to a coffee shop and man, we just envelop the barista with love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I
We're
love it.
not, if I'm solely in my feminine and he's just in his masculine or whatever it is,
Hmm. Hmm.
we're probably, because we're not actually operating from the fullness of ourselves, we're then kind
Right.
of dependent on this other person and we're not able to really love the other people around us.
Right. Right.
We're
That's
very
when it.
insular focused, we're looking at each other because you have something I need. You've got the
Mhm.
masculine I'm looking for, or
Right.
vice versa. And
Right.
so, y'all, that's where it's like, man, this is so exciting. If
Yeah.
we know how to allow for both to coexist, the EQ and the IQ, we really can
Yeah.
love others so well, and connection is possible.
It's amazing. It's amazing when we get to that place where there is that balance in us, or where we can tap into, you know, that masculine or feminine at any moment, right? Like,
Yes.
let me come on, come get this hug or whatever. Whether it's
Yeah.
and I'm someone, I got all girls. My mother's probably the most influential person in my life. Again, my partner, she's incredible. So I think for me, it's vitally important for them to have a sense of safety as well, right?
Yes.
To feel
Yeah.
safe to just be. Because I tell you, Christine, my girls, they tell me there's certain things they tell me. I'm like, you should be having this conversation with your mother. But
That's so cute.
at the same time, I love that they feel like they can talk to me about anything. But
Yes,
yeah, sometimes I'm gripping that chair like, oh, I don't know if I want to hear that.
I love it. Oh my god.
Yeah. So,
Okay, one
this,
last thing.
mhm,
So, James, you mentioned 30 minutes ago, looking at the
mhm.
time here,
Yeah,
about how when we kind of end up attracting what
yeah,
we're putting out.
yeah.
So, just to bring it full circle and kind of wrap up this conversation, which is one of my favorites, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to know if we're attracting certain things. Let's say, let's take Chicago. Were you
Hmm.
actually kind of attracting Chicago to
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
And
yeah,
in one sense, well, once you just had the thought in your mind, well, now you notice the Chicago shirt, and now it's
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Chicago's everywhere.
Everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Like, is it how much do we know that it's really a sign of something we should do in confirmation, or is it we're actually attracting it and looking for it to prove what we want?
That is an incredible question, a great question, because that is something that I sat with. I was
Mm,
like, is this just the reticular activating system working where Chicago's on my head now, everything is shown in
yes,
Chicago, or am I actually truly being led? And I even punched it into my chat GBT, like,
I love it. Man,
and
no jokes aside, that is
yeah,
actually brilliant because it really can give you good insight.
absolutely. And here's that was one of my big confirmations because I said, with who I am and what you know about me, what is the best? Like, I didn't even punch in Chicago. I
Yeah.
said, what is the best city for me based on who you know I am and what I do? Chicago came up.
Wow.
Chicago came up. Chicago came up. And then
I'm gonna
obviously,
go ask my ChatGPT where should I live.
absolutely, absolutely. So that was just even more because I never mentioned anything. I never mentioned
Wow.
I'm seeing these signs. I never mentioned anything. Feel like I'm supposed to be moving. I just said, with what you know about me and who I am, what's the top? Like, it listed five, but Chicago was number one. And then the other big confirmation for me was meeting my partner. Like, I met her online. It was kind of like one of those synchronistic type things where if I hadn't been at this place at this time and saw this comment, and then to find out she's in of all, like, it was like, no, that's not just reticular activating system. This is just further confirmation.
Wow.
This is
Oh,
where I'm supposed to be. Yeah,
that's so cool. Well, James, I so appreciate you. I so respect you, and I'm excited. Let's schedule a second
I
conversation
love it. I love it.
around controlling the mind because that is so incredibly powerful, and there's a lot we can talk about there.
Absolutely. Just I'll look for the email, and I'll be there.